Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for this webinar. We are going to give it a minute or so for other people to be joining us. But I'm so pleased to have you all here with us for this webinar on donation form magic. I'm Mona. I'll do a proper introduction in just a few minutes, but I would love it if you want to introduce yourself in the chat to your fellow attendees. Let me know where you are in the UK and which charity you're joining us from. As I said, I'm Mona. I'm not currently at a charity. I'm working at obviously here at Raisley, but previously I was at the Bike Project, and I'm joining you from the sunny Bristol, which is surprise. There are some clouds, but it's pretty sunny in Bristol. I also have my colleague Marina here from Raisley, who will be joining us for for the chat. And if you have any questions, please feel free to pop that in there. I can see lots of people starting to introduce themselves. Great, I'm recognizing some names. Hi, Gail. Hi, Yin. Wonderful. Hi, Emma from Mind. Wonderful. Lovely to see you all. Hi, Tatiana from Cure Parkinson's. It's wonderful to have you all join us. These are usually people I'm always chatting to via email, so it's great to have you all come and join us here. We've got another person from another Mind Federation. Hi, Joe. Lovely to have you all join us. We'll give it one more minute for people to join in. So just keep introducing yourselves. Let me know which charity you're coming in from. Be great to put a name, if just a text icon to the person joining. So that's great. Okay. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Nicola. Oh, it's so lovely to see you all. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Keep saying hello. Absolutely wonderful to meet you all, but I'm going to just gently start kicking it off now. So thank you all so much again for joining me on this webinar. I hope wherever you're dialing in from has got some great weather and that you're all having a wonderful start to the day. I'm really excited for this webinar. I love talking about optimization and donation form magic, so there's lots for me to show you today. We're going to be looking at some of the science and features behind high-performing donation forms. You could say that at charities, the most important thing that we do is delivering the services, and to deliver the services, we need to raise money. So that's what we do best here at Raisley. We help you raise more money and we help you meet your fundraising goals. And one of the ways that we're going to do that is through looking at a donation form and these optimizations. Over the next 20 to 30 minutes, I'll be sharing with you how we've been optimizing our donation form to help the nonprofits in the UK, many of which you will probably know me or you've worked with me, but you will also, you might also know that we help charities across the world, in Australia, in Canada, in America, and other territories. If you have any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to pop them in the chat. My colleague Marina will also share one or two links as we dive further into the data. And we'll also be talking about some great examples of campaigns on Raisley. So I think a few of you might already know me looking at some of the attendees. I'm Mona, as I said, I'm the UK growth lead here. Previously, I was actually a marketing and fundraising lead at the Bike Project, a charity that uses Raisley and has used Raisley for many years. I've spent my whole career in marketing and income generation, and that has meant that I have gotten really used to helping charities raise a lot of money along the way. Now I get to work with more great charities. So that is what I'm here to do, help you raise more money and understand your donation journeys, your donation forms, and hopefully your donors as well. Most of you watching probably know a bit about Raisley, but the really important thing is that the most important thing to understand is that Raisley is a free all-in-one fundraising platform. So we enable nonprofit organizations, charities, and other fundraising groups to use us for all of their community fundraising needs. That allows you to create customizable online fundraising campaigns, donation forms, peer-to-peer campaigns, and other events. So the way that we do that is by offering a suite of fundraising campaign templates for every type of campaign. All you have to do is think about the type of campaign you want to be running, then come on to our platform and pick the right template. Each template is completely customizable in every single step. The really lovely thing about Raisley is that we're a B Corp, so we're a very mission-driven team. And impact is more important to us than profit. And that's why purpose is baked into our constitution. Like I said, lots of charities across the UK use us, as well as charities all across the world. So this includes really big charities like UNHCR, UN Crisis Relief, Oxfam, Australia, Concern Worldwide, but also smaller charities, some of which are on this call now, and in particular, charities like the Bike Project. All of these organizations trust Raisley with their donation links. So if you want to talk a little bit more about that, Marina is going to put my booking link in the chat. Feel free to book some time in. And if you are a charity that I've already worked with, feel free to say hi anyway. So let's talk about the most important aspect of any fundraising campaign or giving page. It's the donation form. By the time someone lands on your website, they're already interested in supporting you in one way or another. And the majority of the time, that'll be through giving you money. We know that 47% of donors like to give directly to charities on their websites. And that's why it's so important that we look at the donation form as the cornerstone of your organization's online revenue. This is where someone who wants to support you actually can put that into action. So when someone visits your campaign page, the donation form is where they're going to make the crucial decision to contribute. So it's really important to have the right design that's right for you as a charity, but also right for the donor itself. And the functionality is absolutely key. Your online donation form is going to continue to serve as the gateway to turning that initial interest into concrete support. That's why it needs to be thoughtfully designed. That's why it needs to be inviting, and it needs to be really straightforward for donors to use. So the most important things are very clear instructions, an intuitive layout, and a very smooth process that reduces the friction and encourages completion. Making sure that you have a user-friendly donation form will also contribute to a positive experience. We've all been on those websites where you're trying to check out and maybe it times out, or the website is really slow, or there's just too much cumbersome information that is in the way of what you want to do. And we want to make sure that we're avoiding that with our donation forms. So we want to create that positive experience, and we want to leave donors with a sense of satisfaction and reinforcing their decision to give. It doesn't just make the donation process seamless when that happens, but it helps build trust as well and loyalty. It means that if they want to give again, or if they want to become an advocate for you and push friends and family to give, they'll feel good about sharing your donation form. So by offering that simple and enjoyable way to give, you enhance the likelihood of donors returning in the future, or even becoming regular givers, which, as we all know, is the holy grail of giving. So the design and execution of your donation form can impact the future of any giving and the future success of your fundraising campaign. That's why I think today's webinar will be really interesting for everyone, just to dive into the data and the features of how you can go ahead and create those well-designed donation forms. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We'll get to questions at the end of it, and Marina will also be answering questions as we go along. So when we're thinking about donation forms, and even fundraising as a whole, we need to be honest about the fact that we're living in an increasingly digital first or digital only world. So looking towards the future, more generations are going to be growing up with digital as their main or only form of communication. We're building up to a world where that means that the majority of gifts are going to be acquired and collected digitally. Online experiences are going to increasingly include donation opportunities. So as charities, we need to be considering what those online experiences are like for our donors. So we will need to have more sophisticated online strategies for acquiring, converting, and retaining donors. It's really important to think about the collaboration between offline and online offers. You can't have a beautiful direct mail giving process, and then if the donor is quickly Googling you and landing on your website, perhaps their journey isn't quite as good. Eventually, we are going to be reaching the point where online giving becomes the majority of giving. It's best to start preparing for that now, and we can do that in really simple ways. I know there's a lot out there around AI and optimization, but what I'm going to be showing you over the next 20 or 30 minutes are much, much simpler ways and little things that you can think about to tweak your current donation form and to make sure that you're pushing people towards the completion. Like I said, if you start preparing for that now, supporters are going to increase their expectation of you. They're going to increase their expectation that the charities they interact with will be able to deliver as beautiful a journey as the businesses they interact with online. So these digital first native experiences are going to lead the way. They're going to redefine how we engage with and retain those supporters, because a world of online and digital convenience is going to just continue to be really, really important. Like I said, donors don't want pages that are really difficult to fill out, pages that have a long trail of questions, or pages that time out or are slow loading, or pages that aren't even mobile first or mobile adaptive. Failure to adapt could mean missing out on key opportunities for fundraising growth and supporter experience. So it's really up to all of us to go ahead and set that standard for excellent supporters. Because at the end of the day, we've all been there, we've gotten really frustrated with web pages and we've logged out or we've closed the page to move on to doing something else. And we don't want donors becoming impatient with the obstacles in the giving process. But it's not just about the design and the checkout. We also need to look at things like security and privacy. And I'll be looking at that as well, because it's very important to keep that in mind when you're looking at your donation form. Let's now have a look at the Raisley donation form, and let me tell you a little bit more about how these features have helped some campaigns really ensure that they're optimizing their donation form. With these principles in mind, we launched what's called a version 3 donation form in the summer of 2023. Now, looking at who said hi in the chat, lots of you are using this already. But if you're not using this or you haven't started using Raisley yet, let me just take a few minutes to dive down into it. So before this donation form launched, we had V1 and V2, version 1 and version 2. And 1 in 5 visitors to a Raisley website, so a donation form embedded or linked from a charity website that was a Raisley donation form, would have donated. Once they selected an amount, 85% of the individuals who selected the amount completed their gift. Those are pretty good numbers, but we knew that we could improve the form. So our data team and our designers looked into the back end of the conversion metrics. We also looked into conversion optimization studies. We looked at new designs, and we even conducted A/B testing. And all this effort led to a version 3 of Raisley's donation form, a version that we're all really proud of, but most importantly, it's become a huge step in comparison in terms of conversions. And I'll go into more details of how this has increased conversions and why the changes are really important. So for those who don't know, the default is 4 or 5 steps if you have gift aid enabled. So first is the donation amount and frequency step. That's on the left-hand side of your screen. You'll see a number of donations there that you can put in. For you, everything, as I mentioned in Raisley, is customizable. you're able to bring in the donation amounts and the frequencies that you want. The default ones are one time, as in one off, but also monthly ones as well. However, you can also do weekly, fortnightly, annually, and a few different more. It's up to you to decide the default amounts and frequencies. What I really like about this is that if you have a shopping list as a charity, so for example, £25 will pay for X, £40 will pay for Y, you're able to bring that in by adding what we call an impact title and even an image into each of those buttons. Each button will then stretch across the entire donation and they'll be in a row. So if you do have a shopping list which quantifies the actual donation that a donor will be given, I would encourage you to have a think about how you can bring that up. The next step is the regular or monthly giving upsell. That's the screen where it says become a regular supporter. This is a very unobtrusive nudge where we ask donors to convert their one-time gift, if they have selected a one-time gift, to a recurring gift. If they have already selected a recurring gift, this will not show. However, that little nudge, if they've selected a one-time gift, has seen some really startling numbers, and we're going to look into that more in the next few slides. The third step will be the donor's details. For Raisley, again, this is fully customizable. The minimum you do need is first name, last name, and email address, but you're able to add in a whole range of questions. So some of the questions could be, have you ever heard of us? Where have you heard of us from? GDPR questions are a great one to put in here. Marketing consent opt-in questions. You could even ask for a name if a gift is being dedicated in memory of someone. It's up to you how many questions you want to include, but one really great tip I can give you is to utilize two things. One, think about what your charity needs, but also think about what your donor needs. You don't want to put too many questions in this form. The point is it's supposed to be a quick checkout. And remember the fact that a high portion, over 70% of donors, actually check out on mobile. So make sure that it's very easy for them to fill in. Number two, consider using things like conditional fields. There will be fields that will only appear if the previous field has either been filled in or checked or selected. That means that the form can grow or become smaller, which means that only those who have an interest or a reason to fill in a longer form will be filling it in. Lastly, well, actually in between this step and the payment details step will be the gift aid step. So gift aid is step 4. If you are gift aid eligible, we know that not every nonprofit is gift aid eligible. An individual will be able to opt into the full legal text of gift aid, and you will be able to pull that data in your reports. However, just remember that it's editable for you, so you'll be able to edit that. And finally, the very last step where it says your payment details, that is where they input their payment details and confirm their donation. Once this has been processed, the form then shows a thank you message and prompts the donor to share their donation through social sharing. But there's a couple things on this payment details that are really great, and I want to come back to security and privacy. So first of all, you've got that secure payment link on there. Donors are used to seeing this because they're used to shopping online. This lets them know that this is a safe form that they can check out with. And secondly, you're able to use a number of payment methods. I think it's really important to think about the payment methods, not just the payment journey that a donor will be checking out with. So what you want to be thinking about is, are you offering Google Pay or Apple Pay, so wallet pay? Are you offering PayPal? Are you offering credit card, recurring credit card payments, and direct debits? In the chat, I would love to hear from you if you've ever had a donor or a fundraiser frustrated that they can't quite check out in the manner that they want. And has that ever influenced your technology needs or technology choices? Because we've received a lot of feedback from our charities, which is why we've implemented all these different donation methods. Now, I talked about the fact that the regular giving upsell. I think that this is something I really want to pause on and just have a think about the stat that is pretty wild up there. So campaigns which have switched to a new donation form saw a 48% increase in fundraising per user. How is that possible? Well, this was happening last summer. So we were excited to really look at whether this would be possible when we were first rolling it out in beta. So to make sure that we understood how effective it was in the beta testing stage, we tracked the form's performance across a variety of organizations and campaigns. This was over 1,600 campaigns. And the results? Well, as you can see, pretty incredible. So we didn't just see a small uptick, we actually saw that 48% increase in fundraising per user. So we were pretty surprised. It was really clear that we'd created something special, and that really made both charities and donors excited to give more. And of course, that's a huge tangible difference in the success of fundraising campaigns, which at the end of the day lead directly to the success of the services that we are going to put in. Marina will be able to share a blog post in the chat now. But this isn't just an isolated case or a lucky break. The 48% increase is a true statistic, and it's been validated by extensive data collection. If you're wondering how this is possible and how it could be such a dramatic increase in fundraising, I'm going to share some insights with you in just a moment. It's not just having a form that looks really good, although it does, but it's about the entire user experience and the ease of giving. So remember, tapping into that psychological feeling of a really smooth checkout process, that is also beautiful, that is also secure, and makes the user feel good about their privacy. All of that will trigger increased generosity. The first step as to why this had such a beautiful or such a huge number, which is beautiful to me, increase in donations, was the remarkable rise of donors who were signing up for regular giving or monthly giving. This is because of the monthly giving upsell feature. You'll see a little video looping on your screen that basically explains how it works. So this unobtrusive nudge, which is also a pretty critical step, actually encouraged donors to think about giving regularly if they have just selected a one-off gift. So we're just saying to them, would you consider switching this to a monthly recurring contribution? Now, again, I want to remind you that everything is customizable on Raisley. So the text that you see where it says, become a regular supporter, you can customize that. This simple and yet powerful nudge has created a really substantial impact on the overall success of these fundraising campaigns. There's another step that's built into this, which means that we are using sophisticated machine learning and experimentation, which we here employ at Raisley to tailor the upsell amount. So essentially the upsell amount that you see in this step right in front of you will be changed a little bit every time through analyzing donor behavior and patterns. So we'll be able to determine the optimal amount to suggest, whether that is half or a third or per month, that is, half per month again regularly, a third per month, and so on. And that increases the likelihood that a one-time donor will actually become a regular supporter. By employing this personalized approach, it ensures that the ask feels really relevant and compelling, but not overwhelming. We do have caps at the bottom and caps at the top. So if a regular giver is hoping to give, hundreds of pounds, we're not going to ask for a monthly gift of hundreds of pounds, but less than that as well. We all know the saying, if you don't ask, you don't get. So this idea rings true in the context of monthly giving. When we went out to charities and asked them before this rolled out, what was the thing they were struggling with the most? A lot of them said regular givers. And it just turned out that many donors might not fully grasp the lasting impact of a recurring gift, or it might not occur to them as they're giving. And that upsell step, I think, provides an opportunity to clearly communicate the value. And you're making a commitment to them as a charity about what you're going to deliver, just like they are going to make a commitment to you to help you deliver that on a monthly basis. You can do that by explaining how monthly gifts can contribute to sustained support for the organization's mission. And that allows us to give kind of an open door and that nudge to donors to make a more significant and lasting commitment. And you've seen through the success of this, so these organizations who are now seeing that increase are seeing firsthand how this simple addition to the donation form can lead to a significant increase in recurring donations. What we want to do is, in this first step, think about how are we going to make sure that donors are getting the option to give regularly, even if they pick a one-off gift. And that allows you not only to raise more money, but to foster a deeper connection, because you'll be able to then take more steps in staying in touch with them on an ongoing basis. Just remember to keep asking the questions if you want. So when the upsell feature is activated, you'll see some numbers in front of you and integrated into a fundraising campaign in Raisley, the impact on monthly giving subscriptions is profound. It actually doubles the number of donors who commit to regular giving. The baseline for donors signing up is about 0.6%. Which means that out of every 167 donors, only one will opt for a regular contribution. But with the upsell, this figure jumps to 1.3%, meaning 1 out of every 77 donors commits to monthly givers. So yes, they're small percentages, but the doubling is absolutely incredible. So let's consider the broader implications. Doubling the rate of monthly subscriptions will definitely enhance or may enhance the financial stability of your organization. Recurring donations offer a really reliable stream of income, and we know through looking at our data that recurring donations often tend to stay donors for 2 years or 24 months. It allows you to plan more effectively as an organization and also to think about what you will be able to deliver. And it gives you more touch points to be in touch with donors along the way. So again, getting into the why here, across campaigns that receive regular giving on Raisley, only 6% of donors were regular givers. These donors contributed 24% of fundraising. This indicates that one regular donor contributes 4 times more the amount than a single donor when all of their donations are added up. Donors who participate in regular giving are a small group, but they can have such a big impact because they're supporting you on a long-term basis. I'm talking a lot here about the funds that are coming in to a charity, and they remain really, really important. But also remember the fact that regular givers will become advocates for you. Everyone who's a supporter can become an advocate, but regular givers will be the ones speaking to their friends and family about how they have a monthly gift set up for you. And campaigns that receive regular giving typically raise 2 times the amount of campaigns that don't. This is why the upsell is so important. And that's probably going to be one of the biggest tips that I can give you today. Our data shows that organizations using the upsell will see an increase in overall fundraising revenue by about 6.5%. So when you think about the compounded effect of this upsell feature across multiple campaigns and over time, the numbers really start to kind of stack up. A higher rate of monthly subscriptions can translate into thousands of extra pounds every month, or hundreds, depending on the size of your charity, but every bit helps, and provide the resources that will help you expand your programs or the services, help you pay your colleagues, reach more people and make greater impact. So for us, that means a lot, and we're really excited about this. Regular giving for me and for everyone here at Raisley remains the holy grail, and regular giving will allow you to just keep individuals within that charity funnel. This upsell is available to all campaigns on Raisley now. So you can turn it on very simply. It's a small toggle. It doesn't require any coding. And all you have to do is go to your campaign settings, donation form, and regular giving. From there, you'll be able to switch it on and customize every single step. If you're currently using Raisley and you haven't got this switched on yet, please feel free to give it a try. And if you need more help, you can totally ask one of us or reach out to me. Number 2. So, did you know that the way your pound handles, apologies for that, and whether or not you set default donation amounts can significantly boost your donor behavior? So this is a strange one. When I first saw this, I realized actually human beings, we really like logic, because by the donation amounts, I'm talking about the actual buttons that allow donors to choose their donation amount. And this is the very first interaction in the donation process. So these simple elements actually make quite a big difference. We conducted a small experiment to understand how these factors influence donation outcome. Specifically, we wanted to look at whether presenting the amounts from the largest to the smallest or from the smallest to the largest has a different impact on donor choices. And also we looked at whether pre-selecting a default amount influenced donors in a way that affects their giving decisions. So these two aspects are really crucial because they create the initial impression for donors and that can guide their behavior. And it's really important to set up these basics correctly because it either encourages donors to give generously or it encourages them to drop out of the giving journey or push them towards smaller amounts. Through our research, we aim to identify the most effective settings for Raisley campaigns to optimize donations. And these findings, we're going to look into them in just a moment, can help you create a more effective donor journey, and that will make it easier for you to support, to make easier for your donors to and your supporters to make their contribution to you. I I'm really surprised at the way this kind of fell out because initially, in my experience, I always thought that sort of donors might go for the middle amount or the smallest from the bottom, but the experiment showed us that through randomly presenting one of 4 different variations to users visiting a small subset of Raisley powered sites, that actually presenting amounts in ascending order with no default was the way to go. So there are thousands and thousands of campaigns and thousands of charities and organizations using Raisley for fundraising at any given moment. Many of these have opted into what we call our Raisley experiments, which give us permission to run tests like this, like the one we've done here, and that allows us to find the most effective fundraising and journeys and donation forms for you. So this enabled us to present this experiment to over 100,000 users, and we tracked over 20,000 donations. So I do have to note here that if you are using Raisley, your data is your own. We have access to the data for the purposes of running and building the platform, but it's your data, it's not our data. We take it really, really seriously, and that's why we share results like this with you. So these variants were ascending order, no default amount selected, ascending order, default amount selected, descending order, no default amount selected, and descending order default amount selected. If we look at the analysis, while the observed differences were quite minor, there was a noticeable pattern indicating that presenting donation amounts in ascending order with no default selected tends to yield better results. This approach not only led to higher conversion rates, but also resulted in increased average donation amounts. So the cumulative effects of these differences and impacts, though subtle, can again help you raise a lot more money. So specifically, our data suggested that presenting that donation amount, like I said, from the lowest to the highest could lead to approximately 4% more funds raised compared to the traditional descending order in presentation. What I'm talking about here is making sure that you're stacking these little changes on top of each other. And although 4% doesn't seem like a lot, 6.5% from the previous tip doesn't seem like a lot, overall, it's adding up to making sure that you're boosting your fundraising through these small tips and tricks. And that could translate to a bigger, more meaningful increase in total revenue for a campaign. Okay, third and lastly, I think it's really important to look at building donor confidence. 18% of users abandon checkouts due to feeling insecure. This is what I was talking about with privacy and security. It's really important that we don't just want to look at the beauty of a donation form. We want to make sure that it is giving that confidence to donors. So we discovered that the 18% of users were abandoning that checkout because they don't feel secure. Given this data, we were convinced that looking actually at e-commerce strategies could be really interesting to be adapted because people are using e-commerce online. Everyone's always shopping online. We all do it every single day. If users are comfortable shopping online, but they are leaving the donation form because they don't feel their information is safe, what can we learn from e-commerce and what can we do to tackle their fears head on? So our goal was to create a donation form that would foster that sense of security and thereby reduce the likelihood of abandonment. How did we do that? Well, when donors are considering contributing to a cause, they want to know that their personal and financial information is safe. So I mentioned the secure payment, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But if there's even a hint of insecurity, if they're worried about the URL, if they don't like the look of the page, they may decide against completing the donation. And more importance is being placed on these. That's why having a donation form that conveys security and trust is really crucial. So first, we understood the power of visual cues in building confidence. So by including that security seal, we provide a recognizable symbol that donors are used to seeing, like I said, on other checkouts. Research shows that these visual indicators play a role in enhancing users' perceptions of safety. Next, we've made the credit card fields distinct from the rest of the form, so clearly setting it apart. It emphasizes the importance of the sensitive information and creates a visual boundary that can give donors extra peace of mind. So donors are more likely to feel like their credit card details are being handled with special care, which they are. And additionally, we've rethought the way that we communicate our fee opt-in model. So as many of you might know, Raisley is completely free to use for charities because of our optional donation tip. The redesigned Raisley tip now more clearly explains how our platform sustains itself, and that ensures that donors understand what they're paying for and where their money is going. So clear communication is another key to building trust. We really think that this helps donors make informed choices. So in updating our donation form to V3, we aim to create like a really modern and smooth experience that aligns with the current expectations for internet design. So we wanted to get rid of very awkward transitions, abrupt transitions, too many pages for someone to go through. We didn't want to have anything disrupting the user journey. So those clunky transitions between the steps on the donation form, they're gone, they're replaced with these lovely animations. So when I'm talking about animations, I'm talking about the subtle movements that guide users through the flow of a site. These transitions link different elements or sections in a way that feels organic. And it also means that the user can go backwards and forwards from one part of the form really easily. From a design perspective, such transitions are really critical to a great user experience because they offer those visual clues and cues that help users understand the structure and know the kind of journey they're going through. The best transitions are almost invisible. It makes it so simple to check out because it feels like you're just sliding through a checkout process. Very smooth, very natural. They don't draw attention to themselves. Users might not consciously notice that flawless transition, but they definitely notice when a website lacks it. And they'll definitely notice, as I said, if it's quite a cumbersome checkout process. So this fluidity in these and making sure that you're looking at your donation form as to how fluid it is, how easy it is to go through every step and to check out. It will help you think about how your users are going to be able to maintain their focus as they are going through their checkout process. And that's how the in essence of Raisley's donation form basically works its magic. So if you're already using Raisley, thank you so much. If you have any questions, this is a great time for me to be able to dive in. And I hope that you're just as thrilled as we are about the fundraising success you're experiencing. We're not going to stop here. We're always refining our platform. The intelligent machine learning, I think, has still a long way to go, but our donation form has lots of little cues built in already. So I'm really excited to see as many of you fundraising and so that we can learn from you. Okay, let's have a quick look at some of the questions. So I'm just going to have a look. So is there an optimal, Charlie has asked, is there an optimal amount of donation amounts? So is our test had 5 plus another? Is this better than 3 plus another? There is some research to say that 3 is best of all. I would recommend that 3 to 5 is the maximum that you think of, but also consider what you are asking in terms of those amounts. So yes, we had 5, but we only had the donation amounts itself. We didn't have that shopping list. If you do have a shopping list, so if you've got, for example, £20 will pay for X with an image, then having 5 of them kind of go down the page, that's quite a lot for the donor to have a think about, isn't it? So think about how you're asking for the donation amount and what's the information you want to be sharing in it as well. Casual has asked, do you need a plugin for Squarespace? No, you don't. You don't need a plugin at all. You are able to just link from a button on Squarespace to the Raisley page, and you're able to make it designed as beautifully as your current page because it's fully customizable without any coding needed at all. Lee has just said, oh, you've used Raisley for a couple of months and you've been so impressed. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Lee. I'm so pleased that you've been using it. And you've also said that you're able to make your Raisley donation page look like it's just another page of your site. That's exactly what we love to see. Thank you so, so much. Jan has asked, is there a difference in terms of donation completion rates between using an embedded form and your campaign pages? No, there isn't a difference in donation completion rates. The form itself remains the same, whether you're embedding it or not. I do get asked this question quite a lot, actually. People always ask me what's the difference between embedding the page or using a Raisley page. Honestly, it comes down to your internal makeup. Is it easy for you to make changes to the web page that you want to embed the page onto, or do you have to go through a marketing team and then an agency? If it's easy for you to make the changes and you own the website yourself, then go ahead, just embed our page in there if that's what you want. If it's going to be a bit more difficult, you might just want to give your fundraising team full ownership of that page and have them build it on Raisley. No matter whether you're building the page on Raisley or whether you're using the embedded form only, you're still able to use Google Analytics for tracking to track over 50 events on your page. So you'll be able to fully understand what your donor is doing and how they're working through the page itself. Okay, we have got a few more questions. When should the gift aid section appear on the donate form? Asks Lois. What's the optimal time to make the gift aid ask? Should it come just before checkout? Yes, it should come just before checkout. That's the optimal time. In version 2, it used to come before the details, and we realized that lots of people were skipping past that. So now we do it just before checkout, and we have seen a good response to that. So it should be one of the last things that an individual wants to do before they go through the payment. Louise, you asked about WordPress. You do not need a plugin for Raisley and WordPress, though we do have a Raisley WordPress plugin. However, in the same way as every other website, you're able to just link the button out to your Raisley page, which again can look just like the rest of your website. Casual has asked, do you reclaim the gift aid or do we do this via our data? On Raisley, you're able to have two different choices. You can either reclaim the gift aid yourself because our reports will pull all that data through for you, or you can reclaim it through using SwiftAid. We have a partnership with SwiftAid who will reclaim the gift aid for you every, I believe, 5 weeks. They will put that into your bank account, but they do charge you 5%. If you have any more questions about that, feel free to book in and have a bit of a chat with me. I just want to check if I have missed any questions. Amy Sargenson has asked, I hope I didn't butcher your last name there, Amy. Do you need a minimum amount of traffic to the donation form for the platform to work? No, you absolutely do not need that. We have organizations that are raising, honestly, millions of pounds per campaign. We have organizations that are raising a few hundred. The way that Raisley works is that it's meant to be a really best-in-class fundraising page that allows you to use it whether you're one person, a founder, operated charity, or whether you have a humongous team, digital team, marketing team, and whatever. You do not need a minimum number to be opting into our platform. Okay, Lee has asked, are there limits on which single donation amount triggers the regular giving prompt customizable? Yes, I think I mentioned this. The limits are anything under £5 and under, and I believe £150 and over. But if you want to talk about customizing that, you can always reach out to us and we can always have a discussion about it. The reason why is because if someone is opting to give you, let's say, £3 as a one-off gift, they're probably not going to opt in to give you £1 every month. And we also have fraud protection, which means that there's minimum amounts that we want to restrict the gifting to. Okay. We've got a few questions and Helen raised her hand as well. Helen, do you want to just type your question into the chat and then I'll be able to answer that if that's okay. Louise, you said, can I speak to someone to talk me through setting up my page? Yeah, of course, Louise. Feel free to just use the QR code or email me at muna@raisley.com and we'll be able to jump on a call. I'll be able to help out. Kajal said, is this totally free to use? How does Raisley make an income? You'd be surprised to know, or maybe not surprised to know, I get this question all the time. Yes, we are able to make an income because we have thousands, tens of thousands of campaigns running on Raisley at the same time. And 70% of donors opt in to our optional donor tip. Donors know that websites and platforms cost money. They're not new to this, and they understand that if they cover that, it means that charities will be able to continue supporting the people that they are supporting. So 70% of donors opt in, and that's where we make the majority of our money. Can I plug Raisley into my CRM or download or upload data via spreadsheet, says Ian Mills. Yeah, you absolutely can. We integrate directly with Razor's Edge NXT and Salesforce. We integrate via a middleware called Zapier with Microsoft Dynamics. And we also integrate with MailChimp as well. But it's very easy to get information out of Raisley. And what you're able to do is download in a fully editable spreadsheet. You can change the reports, you can add the data in, you can basically make the reports look however you want, download them and then upload them into whatever data or CRM you have. So feel free to, again, email me at muna@raisley.com, and I'd be more than happy to explain more and share some videos on how to do that. Have we got any metrics on email consent rates using Raisley, says Helen Shepherd. Yeah, we do, Helen. I'm able to share that with you if you just drop me a line. But essentially, we know that individuals using email through Raisley, because Raisley has an inbuilt email platform, see 2 times the income of fundraising versus those who don't do it. So I'm really happy to share some further data on that as well. Is Raisley compatible with Spectrix? Rachel, I'm afraid to say I don't know what Spectrix is. I'm definitely going to have to look this up. I would love if you could explain in the chat what it is. Otherwise, I will look it up and I'll reach out to you, Rachel, to chat about this a little bit more. Okay, is there a way of minimizing the number of existing supporters who opt out of future comms, says Liz. Ooh, this is actually something I really love talking about, email. So some of you may have seen I did an email and stewardship chat a while ago. This doesn't have so much to do with donation optimizations, and I'd be really more than happy to talk to you all about email another time. We do actually have a webinar on that, which we can happily share out at the end of this. There are ways to minimize it. Much of it is about making sure that you've got a really robust comms journey and that you are speaking to your donors, your supporters through the veil of through the lens of the relationship they have with you. So making sure that you're being really conscious about your comms throughout every comms. So make sure that you're not bombarding them, make sure that it's relevant, make sure that you're not just sending them the monthly newsletter. Those are some quick top tips that I've grabbed, but definitely drop us an email. I'll direct you to the webinar where I spent an hour talking about this, which I did in partnership with Fundraising Everywhere, and you'll be able to download some really lovely email journeys that we've put together for you all, which you can start to explore as well. Kajal has asked, if we use Raisley, can we do away with MailChimp? Yeah, you're able to use Raisley Pro, which is our advanced email platform that does come at a small cost, although it's a 50% discount if you sign up for an annual subscription at the moment. And you'll be able to use it in the same way that you use MailChimp or Digital or Campaign Monitor. You'll be able to send email journeys, manual emails, triggered emails based on any kind of interaction or relationship that a donor or fundraiser or supporter has with you. This includes things like you've reached 50% of your goal to fundraisers, you've been a regular giver for 6 months, or really anything that you can think about. Rachel's just come back telling me about Spectrix. It's a box office system. It depends. If Spectrix has Zapier, then I think if it's compatible with Zapier, then I think that we can definitely be compatible with it as well. But Rachel, I'm going to take this offline. I'm going to look into this and I'm going to come back to you via email because I'd love to understand a little bit more about that as well. Okay, that was a lot of questions. Have I missed anything? Marina, what do you think? Did I miss anything? Oh, Dan asked, is the V3 donation form live? Yes, Dan Palfrey, it absolutely is live. It is there for you to use. You absolutely can go ahead and pop that in there. And if you want more questions on how you want to use it, again, feel free to send me an email, muna@raisley.com, and I'll be able to jump in and have a bit of a chat with you about that. Oh, Apple Pay, Amy. You asked about Apple Pay. What did you ask? Let me just go back in. Am I right in thinking that Apple Pay is not an option on an embedded form? I think you're right, Amy. It's not an option on an embedded form just yet, but we are working on that. So we're hoping to get that across as soon as possible. Okay. I think that's it. Ah, thank you so much, everyone. What a great discussion. I really, really enjoyed that. We are going to send the webinar round as well as a link to my email if you want to go ahead and book this in. We're hoping to do lots more of these webinars over the coming months, so please look out for them. And if you have any suggestions about what kind of webinar you want to see, please feel free to email us in. We'll put something together if several people ask for it. We always love talking about fundraising, donations, and how to best support charities. So please do not worry about not wanting to pop that through. So really excited. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. It was an absolute pleasure, and do look out for our emails. Take care.